Yeah, hello and welcome to this After Effects tutorial for AETUTS Plus. And in the first minutes, I just want to give you an idea of what you exactly can learn in this tutorial. So probably you already have watched the final the final result, which looks as follows. And if you look at it, I mean, in principle, what you see is not too impressive. Yeah, if I just freeze frame here at a certain moment, if I just stop, then you can see that there are just a few white lines moving, and so each single picture, yeah, this one or this one or this one, doesn't really look very impressive. But the nice thing about this animation is how organic everything is moving. Yeah, so it is very realistic how these letters are traveling here, and all of this is not very easy to achieve. So in other words, if you just would draw these lines and would start moving these letters here with keyframes, you would rather come up with something that looks maybe like this. Now here you have now these letters traveling, and they move back and forth in this half pipe, but it doesn't really look as realistic as you have it here. Yeah, here, if you look at the movement, yeah, how it is slowing down at the end and moving like this. So this is the essential thing that you can learn, how to get this kind of realistic animation. And what we are going to use for this are actually some iExpressions. Yeah, some iExpressions that do some physics simulations to get this nice organic and realistic movement. So one of them is a roller coaster, which we use to make this movement here in the pipe. And then we are going to use another one, namely the throw iExpression, to make these letters here fall down. And we also use this iExpression in the situation where the tuts element here jumps. Yeah, this is also just an instance of the throw iExpression. And yeah, I think this is really the interesting thing here to learn. Apart from this, we are also going to cover first, of course, how to get this look, yeah, how to get these paintings here of the logo and this pipe. So let's start with this part. Okay, so what we want to start with is to create this logo here in this hand-drawn look. And what we do for this is to actually draw it by hand. But I have a template for it, so I have already here the original logo as an Illustrator file. I take it and drag it into a new composition. And now we have here a composition with this Illustrator file. And we want to paint on it using the paint tool that you can find here, this brush. And if you select this brush, you have here certain paint options. First, you can select a color, and then you can set the duration of it. So let me just quickly show you the idea of this. So of course, in the end, we do not want to have a red color, but we want to paint actually on this logo here. And since it is already white, we do not see where the white color then is. So we rather first start painting red and later replace the red by white. An important thing when you want to paint is you cannot directly paint here in the composition view. So what I have here is a view of my entire composition, which you can read here. And if you try painting here, you see it doesn't work. Yeah, it moves here the layer and so on, but it really doesn't paint. So let me just undo this. Okay, and the reason is that you have to paint in the layer panel, and you get to this by double clicking here on the layer. And now you have here a new view that looks pretty similar, but actually contains only this layer and not as here the entire composition. And in this view, you can now nicely paint. Yeah, so you just click here, or better, instead of using the mouse, you use the Wacom tablet, and you just follow here the outlines and paint it. And depending on how accurate you do this, it looks nice or not so nice. And then I do here, for example, a second stroke like this. And if you see what happens here in the composition is you have now an effect on your layer that says paint. And this paint has actually two brushes because we have made two strokes here. Yeah. And each of them has certain options, like the path. The path is the path that you've drawn here. And you also have stroke options, like for example the color. So now later we can replace this red here by another color if we like. Another important option of this painting is, of this paint effect, is paint on transparent. If you turn this on, yeah, the original logo in the background disappears, and this is exactly what we want. And the end, yeah, I said already this color here, and this end is also quite nice because it allows you to animate your stroke. Yeah, so you can see you can also animate it in and out. This is something I didn't do in this tutorial, but if you like, if you have painted it, it is very easy to make a nice animation where this logo step by step appears by animating here the end of this stroke. Okay, if you want to do this animation, you can also set your duration here from constant to right on, which basically makes this animation here automatically. Anyway, we now want to replace a color. So I search here for color, and now we have here the two colors, and we can select both of them and go here, and now we have this nicely painted A. And of course you can now paint all the other letters in exactly the same way, but I'm going to skip that to keep it simple, yeah, to make the tutorial a bit shorter, and we just go ahead drawing the actual pipes that we need. For this we create a new composition by clicking here, and we need this resolution and want to have it a length of 600 frames. Okay, and in this composition we also want to paint as before on some layer, so we just create some solid and make it actually black solid, so that we can paint white on it and see what we are painting. And again, I choose here the paint tool and choose now here white, not perfect white, but a more or less white color to paint with, and double click on the layer, yeah, to get from the composition view to the solid layer view. Oh, and here we see I actually did a mistake because this layer is actually much too small. Yeah. So I go here, select the solid, go to layer, solid settings, and see it is just 100 times 100 pixels wide, but we want to make it comp size. So we click here and call this here maybe pipe. And now we have this layer pipe that has exactly the size of the composition, and we double click on it, and here we have our layer, and now we can try to paint our pipe here. And so I must admit that I'm actually not a very good painter. Yeah, it is easier to paint if you make this window here as large as possible, maybe like this. And now let's just draw our pipe. Again, with a Wacom tablet, this is much easier than with a mouse. Oops, now I accidentally right-clicked. Undo. Second try. Maybe like this. Maybe this side doesn't look as nice as this one. It's not so perfect. So let's again undo this. And now you can imagine you do this around maybe 20 times, maybe 50 times, depending on how good your painting skills are. So let's fast forward until I have a version where I was able to perform this paint stroke more or less nicely. Okay, so I've drawn now this shape here. This was like the 50th attempt or something like this, and I'm not yet 100% satisfied, but almost. I think the shape looks already quite nice, but I find, especially here in this region, for example, yeah, or here, it is not smooth enough. Yeah, it's like I was not calm enough when I've drawn it here, so it could be a little bit more perfect, but instead of trying it again, I'm going to adjust it now later. And what we therefore do is the following. So this is the path of the stroke. If we go in the layer view, you can see here this path also highlighted, yeah, and now we want to smooth this path. And since After Effects has no direct ability to smooth these passes, we first convert it into a position value and then smooth this position. How is this working? So let's close this layer tab here again, and now we go to layer, new null object. This is just now a little helper, and then we go here to the path of the brush and say edit copy, and now we go to the position. I click P, select the position of this null, and go to edit paste. And what now happens is you can see you have now the position of the null has now here many keyframes, and these keyframes actually make the null move along this path. And now we want to smooth this movement. Yeah? And what we actually want to do is we only want to smooth a certain range. The point is, if we smooth here the part where it runs around the corner, yeah, then you would get here kind of a rounded corner. And this is something we do not want. And also here, we do not want a rounded corner. But we only want to start the smoothing, let's say, around here. Yeah? So we set the work area start to this point. And we want to end it around here. That's that only this part gets a little bit smoothed. So we set the end of the work area to around there. What are we going to use for smoothing? We are going to use an iExpression. So I go to iExpressions, and I have already opened here the correct iExpression. So in case you do not know iExpressions is a very nice way to use expressions without writing any code. Yeah? It contains a big library that you can get by clicking here with many different iExpressions and many different categories, and one of them is, for example, in movement modifier, the basic smoother. And if you open it, you have the basic smoother here, and you simply set its parameters. So this is how strong it should, the amount of smoothness that you want to have, and here this is kind of the quality. So we want to smooth it in this range, so we apply it to this null position. And now, if you look at how this element is moving, you see it doesn't move exactly on this path, but it does a more smooth movement. Yeah, everywhere actually, not only in this range. This is because the range is only considered when we bake this entire thing. Let me just close this panel to get here a bit more space. Yeah, if you travel along here, you can see the movement is now smoother than what you see, but this is actually a bit too smooth. Yeah, we do not want from here to get such a flat movement. So let me decrease here the amount of smoothing to, let's say, can open here a slider and say maybe 0.25 or so. Reapply this. And now you can see it follows here this original curve, but it's just a bit smoother. And see, here it also smoothed, but this will disappear in a minute when we bake this now. Yeah, now this is applied. This means the iExpression is live and acting on top of the keyframes. And if I now click on bake, it means in this work area, the expression value is written into keyframes. Yeah, so it's like this, bake. And now this takes a while to compute. And now you can see you have here a movement that is a bit smoother than before. Yeah, in the background you see the original painting. Here's a painted pipe, and here you have now the smoothed version that looks just a little bit more natural. But since we only baked this area here you still have your sharp corners that you need. So a very nice trick to smooth your passes by copying them to position values. And now, of course, we need to copy them back. Yeah, so we select here all keyframes, go to edit, copy, and now we go here to our brush path and say edit, paste. And now this path here moved, but this is no problem. So we can just move it up again. Oh, undo. So we need to move it in the layer panel. double click on it, and then with your usual tool here selected, just grab the path and move it up. And now you have a nice smooth version of your original path. Okay, so you've learned so far how to create this nice path and how to smooth it and how to create these elements of the logo here. And in the second part, we are then going to focus the main task, namely animating all this to make it behave like a cool skateboarder.